What is going on, Fit Fam? Welcome on back to my channel. It is a beautiful day here in sunny Cape Town, and I'm about to go smash some quads and glutes. I'm just over 2 months into my cut, and I hit a new low this week, so I'm officially down 6 pounds. I'm still feeling really good. I feel really full and energized on the amount of food I'm eating. Definitely not hungry at all. If anything, it almost feels like too much food, but we are steadily seeing that downward scale trend, so things are moving the way that we want. So since I'm about to go hit the gym, I figured I'd take you along with me. I'm going to record today's workout, and then I'm going to come back afterwards and actually walk through everything that I do. So that way I'm not doing it as a voiceover. I'm going to film me talking about it after I do the workout, and then I'll just overlay the clips of the exercises that I do, so you can follow along with me and we can build some beautiful sculpted legs and poppin' glutes. And don't forget, if you're new to the channel, make sure to hit that like and subscribe. Come follow me over on Instagram for even more fitness content. And if you're coming on back, thanks so much for joining for another video. All right, fam, let's go smash this lower body. Right, that was a solid sesh. Actually also did 20 minutes on the Stairmaster because I'm doing technically 90 minutes total cardio per week, but I completely blanked on getting a video of it, but I did do it. So I'm just heading back now. I'm gonna have some protein out, post-workout, get the carbs and protein in, and then I'm gonna break down what this whole workout was like. All right, fam, we are back from the gym. We've eaten, we've gotten changed, so let's dive into what this workout was all about. So I'm guessing a lot of you know because I say it in all my videos, but I have been lifting 4 days a week for about 2 years now. I used to lift 5 days a week for the majority of my fitness journey, and actually I started getting way better results when I took it down to 4. Now that's not necessarily going to be the case for everyone, but I think most people can really see incredible results with just 4 workouts a week. Honestly, even 3 can work if you are really busy. So for the last 2 years, my workout split, AKA just meaning like the actual program that I follow, was 2 lower bodies and 2 upper bodies. So it was usually like a quads and glutes day, hamstrings and glutes day, and then either a mix of upper bodies or like a push and pull day. But for the first time, I have changed up the volume a little bit because I feel pretty happy with a lot of my upper body, especially my back. My back is pretty sculpted, pretty defined. I feel like I don't need to hit so much back anymore. The main things I want to work on my upper body is, of course, building more shoulders. That's my #1 thing. And then also still a little bit more arms, a little bit more biceps and triceps. But outside of a little bit of arm definition and definitely more shoulders, I always, of course, want to hone in on building those beautiful sculpted legs and getting even more poppin' glutes. So the way that I am splitting up my workouts now is I'm doing a quads and glutes day, which is what I did today that we're going to go over. And then I'm doing a full upper day, which I posted 2 videos ago. So you can go check that out there if you want to see what my upper body workout's looking like now. Then I have a hamstrings and glutes day. And then my 4th day, this is where I'm mixing it up, is I'm doing a little bit of glutes, a little bit of shoulders, and also a little bit of abs. So I'll probably get around to filming that one as well, so you can see what that mix looks like. But yeah, I'm really enjoying this split. I'm enjoying hitting lower body a little bit more frequently and having a little bit less to do on the days that I'm hitting it, because that way I'm dividing up the volume. Because the thing is, you don't want to just hit one specific body part so many times, because a big part of muscle growth is that you need to recover. So this idea that you should just work out the area that you want to grow like every single day, just beat it up, that's not how it works. Really, you want to have kind of fewer sessions, but really make them count, really go in, push your muscles hard, and then outside of that, you want to rest, you want to recover, you want to eat, because that is what is going to make the muscle heal over. So really, you want to think about the total amount of sets that you were doing per body part for the entire week. And if you do want to hit something a little bit more frequently, you just want to make sure that you're not doing too much. So let's say if normally you were doing all your lower body volume on 2 days, you would just kind of take what you had on those 2 days and then spread it out over 3 days instead. So it'd be a little bit more chill. So yeah, I'm really enjoying that. Now I'd say that it's more chill on my hamstrings day. This day today, quads and glutes, is still definitely my hardest workout. It was very challenging, but it is really good. It definitely does the trick. So let's dive into the exercises. We had 5. We started off the workout with some leg extensions. So nothing fancy here. You really just want to make sure that you are controlling the weight and getting in that full range of motion, maybe having a little bit of a pause and squeeze at the very top. So you don't want to go too light on this that you're not even really pushing yourself. I think a lot of the time we can think, oh, it's an isolation exercise, I don't really have to push myself that hard. But yes, don't forget that this is the first exercise of the workout, so that by the time we get to the harder exercises, our quads are going to be so lit up and ready to go. And yes, you can still really get a lot out of the isolation lifts, even if they do seem a little bit easier. So you can see I was pushing myself pretty hard, and I was definitely using more challenging weight, but really trying to make sure that I made every rep count, that since I was going a little heavier, pushing myself that way, that I wasn't getting sloppy on my form or getting sloppy on my range of motion. So that's kind of the delicate balance a lot of the time with lifting, is that you don't want to go too light that you end up having to do so many reps and it's kind of just like you're not pushing yourself that hard and it's too easy. But you also want to be careful when you do start pushing the weight that you don't end up getting sloppy with your form, half-assed reps, not doing the full range of motion and kind of rushing through it. You really want to try as much as you can to make every single rep look identical and really make it clean, good quality form as much as you can. All right, so we're doing 3 sets of 12 to 15 on those, and then we are moving on to dumbbell Bulgarian split squats. I don't think I've actually even done these for pretty much 1 year, and this is just standard. Everybody hates this exercise for good reason, because it is so difficult, but you know, it really works. It really builds your quads and your glutes. So what I personally find with this is that you don't want to use a bench that's too high. Even the regular benches in a gym, a lot of the time, I think are a little bit too high. So I'm using the 40-centimeter box that I'm also later going to use when I do my hip thrusts. And guys, oh my God, I forgot my Versa grips today. That was horrible. I literally never forget them. So Versa grips is like weightlifting straps, which I highly recommend. As soon as you're not a complete beginner in the gym, you want to get a pair of these. You can get any weightlifting strap on Amazon. A lot of them are very cheap, but I love Versa grips. They're a little bit more expensive, but they are so worth it because they're really, really high quality. So normally I would definitely be using Versa grips for this exercise because I'm holding really heavy dumbbells in each hand, and it just makes it difficult for me to hold that grip for so long if I'm not using a strap like that. So that is where you would want to be using it for a lift like this. So I did struggle a little bit, and I did go up on weight on this exercise. I was using a 20 kg in each hand, but we got through it. So we're aiming for 8 to 12 reps here. I was able to do 12 reps my first set and then a little bit less in the following sets. So tips for this, especially since we're trying to make this a little bit more quad biased, is really try to keep your torso upright. The more upright your torso is, the more you're going to feel it in your quads, versus if you're leaning forward more, it's going to be more glute dominant. Now, similar to what I said about leg extensions, I think really applies here too, because if we're only doing 8 to 12 reps, that means you should be finishing the set and feel like, oh my God, that was so difficult, and that you really could not have done any more reps, that you were absolutely pushing yourself to your maximum. And a lot of the time, if you're sort of newer to lifting, honestly, this exercise, even just body weight, is challenging enough, but definitely you want to challenge yourself and not cheap out on the resistance here. So don't go too light and then finish the set being like, oh, okay, yeah, you know, I could have done like another 5 reps. Try to use really challenging weight. That is what I was doing today. I really pushed myself and I could really feel the difference. And yeah, your heart is going to be absolutely pounding when you're done these because they are so difficult. Now, another thing to think about is make sure you're getting that full range of motion. So like I said, again, with this exercise being so difficult, it's easy to kind of only do part of the rep where maybe you're bending down and you're only getting about halfway. So you really want to focus on getting the knee of the elevated leg to touch the ground. That is literally how low you want to go. And I promise you, if you do it that way, if you do that full range of motion, you're going to feel your muscles so much more activated. And even if it were a slightly lighter weight that you were using, you would be getting a lot more out of it because you're really doing the full range of motion the way that you should be. And then the last thing about this exercise is I find a lot of the time people come too far forward. You don't really want to be bringing the front leg so far in front of you. You want to actually stay kind of close to the box or the bench, whatever you're using, which will also just make it easier for you to drop down and really have your knee touch the ground. Because if you're coming so far forward, you're not going to be able to do that range of motion. So stay fairly close to the box, make sure that it is not too high, and then really push yourself to make sure you get that full range of motion and get the most out of this exercise that you can. And over time, really start to challenge yourself with the weights that you're holding. Okay, next up, we have one of the hardest exercises of all time, and that is hack squats. So if your gym does not have a hack squat machine, you can do these on the Smith machine instead, and I actually really like that variation. So I'm just gonna show you a video of me doing that variation here. What I'd recommend for you to be able to hit your quads a little bit more is to take little tiny barbell plates, put it underneath your heels, so that way with the heels elevated, you're gonna be squatting down, and that's really gonna overload your quads. You can get nice and low doing it in the Smith machine. But if your gym does have a hack squat, I highly recommend using it. It is an amazing piece of equipment that is gonna be so good for you to really overload and stimulate your quads. Now, the one I had in this gym unfortunately does not go that low. That is something that can happen some of the time with hack squats in gyms, is that they're not always able to get such a great depth. It really just depends. Like some gyms you can, some gyms you don't. So that was a bit of a bummer with this workout, but it was still really challenging. I felt super stimulated in my quads and I was really pushing myself hard. So same here, we're doing 3 sets of about 8 to 12, and I was maybe getting 12 reps for the first set, and then I was really struggling as I got into my second and third set. I was absolutely wiped out doing these after doing the Bulgarian split squats. It is such a killer, but with this exercise, especially because you are in the machine, you are safe. I really recommend that you try to push yourself to your maximum failure, because even if you do fail, you're not gonna get hurt, you're safe inside of the hack squat. So really just give this exercise your all. This is one of the best exercises that's really going to give you those sculpted, defined legs, because it is so good at overloading your quads. Okay, next up, we are doing a horizontal leg press, which is an exercise that I have not done very much, but I have been very, very humbled because it is incredibly effective for really hitting your quads. So we are only doing 2 sets of this exercise because, again, like I was saying in the beginning, when you are training a specific body part so much, you don't always want to have so much volume. A lot of the time, people are really overdoing it with how much actual volume they have in the gym, how many sets, how many reps they're doing. And this is actually called junk volume, where you're technically doing volume, you're doing exercises, but you're not getting anything out of it. So a lot of the time, less is more when it comes to building muscle, because it's better that you do less, but you really give it your full effort, and then you can recover outside of that. So yes, this machine is very surprising, very humbling. It doesn't look like it would be that hard, especially if you're used to using the big normal leg press. This one is a bit different, and really important to set the positioning of this. You want to release the little lever that's going to bring the little seat all the way down to the ground, and then you want to also be putting your feet low on the pad, because when you have them low, you're going to be hitting your quads, and that's what we're trying to do here. So starting off in that crunch position, you're simply just going to be pushing off your heels, lifting yourself up, and then lowering back down, really trying to keep your reps nice and controlled. You don't want to be like swinging up and then crashing down to the bottom. You want to keep the tension on the quads. And same thing here. Don't go too light, really challenge yourself. You should be getting to the end of your set and actually hitting that failure point, because again, you definitely can do that in this exercise. You are safe inside of the machine. There's no reason why you shouldn't be pushing yourself to the max right here. So it was only 2 sets, and honestly, I was getting to about rep 8 thinking like, oh, okay, you know what, this isn't so bad. But by the time I got to rep 8, it was really starting to burn, and I just had to kind of close my eyes. I was like, okay, keep going, just go all the way till you fail. And I ended up being able to get 13 reps for each set, and then I was just completely done and very humbled by this piece of equipment. So give it a try, you will be pleasantly surprised. Okay, and then moving on to the last exercise, we are doing just some normal barbell hip thrusts. So we are going for higher reps here. We're doing anywhere from 15 to 20 reps. And again, we're only doing 2 sets because I have a lot of glute volume spread out over 3 days. So that's why we're not always doing so many sets. But you should also think, okay, if there's only 2 sets, that means I should be really pushing myself hard, and that is what I tried to do. I had to really kind of mentally prepare myself for each set, because yeah, going 15 to 20 reps, your glutes should be absolutely annihilated by the end of that set. So with hip thrusts, one of the most important things is your setup. If you do not have a good setup, that's just gonna mess with your ability to do the exercise at all. Now, if your gym has one of those glute drive machines where it's kind of like a little chair and then you buckle yourself in to do a hip thrust, you can use that, especially since we're doing lighter weight here and higher reps. I personally don't really like those machines very much. I use them some of the time, but I just always prefer the actual barbell up against a little box like this, nothing that is too high. So that's what I wanna say is, if you are using a barbell and you're doing it off of a bench or off of a box, make sure that it is not too high. This is something I see a lot of the time with my clients who are starting in the program and they're new to doing barbell hip thrusts. They're usually going to think to use one of the benches in the gym, but just the normal weightlifting benches that are kind of where the dumbbells are too high. So you're gonna know that it's the right height for you when the edge of the box or the bench is across the bottom of your shoulder blades. That is where you wanna be, because you want to be able to thrust up and come to a full lockout, knees and abs in one straight line, and then come back down and have the barbell hit the ground and come to a rest, all right? If you're not able to touch the barbell to the ground, then that means it is too high. So hopefully your gym has something like that. Maybe it has those little Pilates step-up things. I have done that in a lot of gyms where I've kind of made my own little platform. A lot of the time, that's what you're gonna have to do because again, the normal benches are simply too high. So hopefully there's a way you can find something to work at your gym because the setup is key here. Okay, so once you do have the right height for you, you're also gonna need to use a barbell pad. You're gonna need some sort of cushioning for your hip bone because otherwise the bar is going to dig in and it's going to be extremely painful, especially as you start to lift heavier. So definitely barbell pad is so worth it. They're like $10 on Amazon. Really good piece of gym equipment to have. And honestly, a lot of gyms will have them available, but I think it's good to just have your own that you can bring to the gym. Okay, and then same thing here. We are going for full range of motion, coming to a full lockout at the top. And that means that you are thrusting up all the way to where your abs and knees are in one straight line, getting that lockout, getting that full glute squeeze at the top. You really want to be thinking of this exercise as though you are lifting from the glutes, coming up to that full lockout, and then coming back down. So really making every single rep try to be as similar to the other. Try to not rush your reps if you're getting towards the end and you are absolutely dying. Really do your best to make every rep count and give yourself a little hold and squeeze with the hip thrust when you get to the top. And yes, go somewhere between 15 to 20 reps. Really push yourself here. You're probably going to be getting towards the end of the set and wanting to stop because the burn is going to be so bad. But I encourage you, try to go past that. Try to hit the full 20 if you can, because it is going to be so worth the glute pump that you get. All right, fam, so that is the workout. I hope that you can give it a try and also build a beautiful bubble butt and some sculpted legs along with me. And of course, I run an online fitness coaching company for women. We get amazing transformations all the time, helping women to lose body fat, build all that sexy muscle definition, and especially do it in a sustainable, realistic way where they can maintain the results for life. So if you would like to be given a fully custom plan, you don't have to figure out what workouts to do, how to improve at your exercises, what you should be eating, when and how to change everything. That's exactly what we will provide for you, a fully custom strategy, and then we will also hold you accountable and guide you through every single step of the way to getting your own amazing transformation. So if you're interested, click on the link in the description. We'd love to chat with you and see if you're a good fit. All right, fam, thanks so much for checking out this video. Now next, I want you to go watch this one here, where I'm gonna dive more into how to properly build muscle, what is the full plan around it, how to eat, how to train, and why you really want to, because it's also gonna help you lose more body fat and keep it off. So I'll see you in that video.